Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and this will be another edition of podcast form. I believe this is like number 6. It's been a long time since I did one, so I'm not entirely sure. If I were to do this every week, I'd probably just start over from one and, make sure I put it out every single week. But it's been a long time since I did one. Frankly, I actually recorded one, and it was all over helter skelter. It was when 8.2 information came out. And there's a lot of information. I was really tired that night, and it just ended up being crappy, so I didn't bother posting it. So first of all, I want to say Happy Father's Day to any fathers out there, to anybody who has a father that they love, or a grandfather, or whoever. So I happen to be a father myself. You can see what my son made me for Father's Day. Number one dad, obviously everyone says that, right? So I don't actually claim to have that title, but I like to think that I'm in the running for that. So first we're going to talk about WoW, of course, as always, and secondly we'll probably talk a little bit about like Father's Day and stuff like that, and just having a strong male presence and that kind of stuff. So first of all, since I haven't, in this form at least, talked about 8.2 at all, I guess I'll hit up on some stuff regarding that first. One of the biggest things is just all the stuff that's coming out. So this is a huge patch. We have new zones, new raid, new dungeon. This is just like the big old patch that came out in Legion, right? Which would have been 7.2, I believe, and maybe it was 7.3. I'm not sure. It was when the Broken Shore opened up. That was a big patch, and frankly, Argus ended up being a pretty big patch as well. But tons of new content coming out. However, this was actually, they're using the same general setup that they did in Legion. So this time, if you want to think in Legion terms, this time is when like Trial of Valor came out, which happened to be around more the holiday time during Legion. So I don't think people noticed it quite as much, because it seems like no matter who you are, it seems like, even if you're just with friends, a lot of people are off doing real life things for the holidays, whether that's Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, then New Year's and all that kind of stuff. So it seems like a lot of people are gone during the holidays. So, or just not playing as much. So you don't notice this lull in content. However, right in the middle of summer, college kids are off school. If you're still in high school and play, which not a ton of high schoolers play anymore, but there are some, and so they're like, there's absolutely nothing to do. And frankly, it's been hard for me because I haven't been able to put out a lot of videos. I've been combing for stuff to put out videos for. I've actually put out a lot of really bad videos in this expansion already, which says something about the expansion. So I just didn't want to put out any more of those. I'm not putting out a video just to put out a video. If I don't have anything to talk about or anything to make a guide for, I'm not going to bother doing it. I went back looking at old content, see if there's any guides I could make. I just couldn't really come up with anything that was worth doing, honestly, especially this week. I was really combing for things to do, and I just couldn't come up with anything. And then I thought, well, I do have stuff to talk about, but it's not in soundbite form, so maybe I'll just go ahead and bust out another podcast. So we have all kinds of new mounts coming out, all kinds of pets, all kinds of, like this new zone, Mechagon. So Mechagon Island, it's going to evolve as we play more. So we're going to be adding structures onto it, defenses onto it. I know one of the developers said on Twitter something. He's interested to see how the world PvP works against the defenses. Are the defenses, because they're going to have to tune them to either be stronger, so that they're not just walkovers, or weaker if they're just one-shotting everybody, perhaps. So that'll be interesting to see for sure. So we're going to be building up Mechagon, and there's rewards for mounts for that. There's these cool trinkets that you can add stuff into. Frankly, the information is too much to really get into. Like I would have to have pages of notes to hit everything, and I think that's why I got flustered when I tried to do a thing about it before. Is there's just so much information, you just can hop from one thing to another. But Mechagon's one of the things I'm most excited about. I think the mounts look really cool for it, and I like the idea of the zone. They've done this multiple times with the zone kind of evolving. They didn't do it in Legion really, Technically, I think the ship kind of evolved, like with the storyline, like stuff got added to it. Maybe that was just that forge thing for the relics, but it kind of seemed like it did. But this is more like Sunwell Plateau ish in a way, where we actually had to build up everything there. And there's been a lot of things, like Timeless Isle, I think was like that. Although I didn't play that. I quit playing by the time Timeless Isle came out in Pandaria. But yeah, so that's probably the biggest thing that I'm pumped about. Also, just the fact that there's new content to do. That's extremely exciting for me. New dungeons and stuff. The essences, of course, that's a whole thing. I've done a video about that already, but like essences are really cool. I'm looking forward to the final say on what ones are going to be the most powerful for what scenarios and everything like that, knowing which ones I need to farm. Because after looking at how you obtain all of them, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to just like by the end of the patch I will probably, but I'm not going to be easily be able to farm every single one at the top tier or whatever. So it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to have to just get whatever one I can get and make do that way. So I'm super excited about essences, how they end up finishing out, and I've obviously looked at them right now. Even though I know they're not in their final state, some of them look really cool for PvP. Some of them look really cool for AOE. Some of them look really cool for single target, and I'm just very interested. I need to just break down and play on the PTR. Frankly, I've been meaning to for a long time. I had a buddy that really wanted me to play on the PTR at one point, but I just never did. And I should probably just break down and do it, honestly, so I can actually experience it myself, and then I can make videos about that, perhaps. So that's probably what I should do. And if this is any indication of how patches are going to be going forward towards the end, I think it's pretty much going to be a must for me to do that if I want to stay caring about World of Warcraft for long stretches of time like this. We also have the Naga returning and that zone returning. I believe there's like an underwater boss. I'm not positive on that. I try not to look at... Here's the thing about me. So I don't really mind spoilers, but I try not to look at everything before it happens, before I do it myself. So like I wouldn't mind doing it on the PTR, or I wouldn't mind doing something on the beta, because I'm doing it myself, so I'm still experiencing it. So I don't look at things super closely, unless, of course, I'm doing a guide video on it. So I'm not doing a guide video on the bosses at all, let alone before they come out. So I have not really delved into the bosses too deeply. But I know I've seen people complaining that there's an underwater boss, so that could be interesting. I'm not a huge fan of underwater. It definitely favors ranged players more than melee, so that could be interesting. But nonetheless, I'm still looking forward to it. And they have the big dungeon, which is similar to Kara in that it has like a ton of bosses. So people are wondering if they're going to break that into half for Mythic Pluses when that comes available, or if they just don't worry about it like they did with Kara. Like in Kara, they broke it in half. I guess there's a mount they can get there too, just like in Kara as well. A secret mount that everybody knows about, but will be a little bit harder to obtain, especially at first. Just like the Smoldering Ember Ring, I believe it's called, from Kara. Excuse me. So I'm looking forward to all the new stuff. I mentioned a little bit about the trinket. These trinkets have like little sockets in them that you can, just like the essences, how you can switch your essence to what you're doing. The trinkets have different sockets in them to where you can socket in certain things. So if you were farming, for example, like I'm just going to go farm minions or whatever these. I know one good place to farm, for example, is in Darkshore. When the Murloc World quest is up, there's a quest where you have to kill a bunch of Murlocs and destroy weapons and crap. Those Murlocs spawn like instantly. And you could honestly probably farm thousands of gold there. I haven't done it. You'd have to be there alone, so you'd want to hop on a server where it's alone. But I was alone by myself there at one time, and I shouldn't have left. I should have just kept killing it. But stuff just kept spawning on me, so I just kept killing it. And when I looted it, I had like 100 gold in loot, plus all the items and stuff to sell to the vendor. And I was like, holy crap! And I was only there for like 5 minutes, so it could possibly be lucrative. But there's the point of being is that there's cool things that you could put in for that specific type thing as well, like big AOE damage, big AOE clumps, stuff like that. So I like all the choices. They're trying to give choice. People always complain about choice, so they never give you choice at the beginning of the expansion. They try to give you more choices as the expansion goes on. They kind of have the same model going right now. I believe that it's not the greatest model because just for one fact, like, it's working for them. They're still making a lot of money, right? They still have their diehard fans, but there are so many more and more games out, and quality games, I should say, and that can compete. And so, like, WoW is still the best MMORPG in the world. Like, I see people all the time. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go play this one," and they're like, "It wasn't that good, or it wasn't that much better, or it wasn't better." And then if they want to keep playing MMORPG, they come back to WoW. So WoW kind of has that cornered, but what you're seeing more and more is people who actually do like MMORPGs, and they are kind of just transitioning to a different game completely. A lot of people getting into shooters that don't normally like shooters, just because that's kind of like a big thing right now, and just kind of leaving this platform altogether. So, one thing they could do to fix that, I've been doing these Make WoW Fun Again videos that you can check out. And one thing they could do is implement some of those ideas, but there's tons of others as well that just makes the game a little bit more fun, a little bit more silly, can keep people interested in playing. Like events would be a good thing, right? Not to make this into a Make WoW Fun Again video, but events would be a cool thing. So you think about other games, like one game I play is Fallout 76, and that's obviously gotten a ton of hate, and the launch was pretty bad, but I actually enjoy the storyline, so like I listen to all the holotapes and read all the notes and crap like that. So I enjoyed it. I don't have a ton to do right now because there isn't content, but they did a content dump recently. They do events that correspond with like the seasons and stuff like that, and having an event and these events they release them. They try to make money off theirs a little bit much, but you can now also get stuff, for either for free or for relatively cheap, and of course you can farm the in-game currency just like you can in WoW. Excuse me, and get tokens or whatever, the in-game currency that way. So they could do something more event wise like that. So they have the weekly event, and that was big when it came out, right? So you'd go in Kara, or not in Kara, in Dalaran, you'd go get the weekly quests to do this or do that, and it's evolved since then. And that was back in Wrath, right? And it's evolved since then, but you get these weekly quests, and that's the event. Well, they haven't really, I said evolved, but not really, that's not the right term. They've tweaked it since then. They need to evolve it into these bigger things. So, for example, you still can have the weekly stuff with weekly rewards, but for the month of, June, doing random battlegrounds, you have a chance to get this really cool mount. It's RNG, or you also will get this. It's like time walking, but you also get this special currency that you can try to save up to get a similar but not quite as cool mount as the RNG one. And that would get people to do battlegrounds if they really liked it. But that alone wouldn't be enough. So, and that's the problem they often do, is it's just one reward, and you either have to save up for that one reward or get RNG on your side for that one reward. But what if it was like, also this transmog, also this, also that? What if they started rewarding gold as a prize for doing something? People would probably be into that quite a bit as well. So these are all things that they could do. That's not what I want to make this video. That's not what I want to make this pod video, whatever, about. But, events would be a good thing. And maybe I'll do a specific video about events now, because I just thought of it on the fly here. But back to 8.2, I suppose. What we have this huge patch to look forward to. We don't know the date yet. I think 25th is reasonable, June 25th, but maybe they hold off until July. That's obviously possible as well, early July, and hopefully it comes out without any major problems or anything like that. But I'm looking forward to it personally, just because I don't have anything to do. I've been really pushed away from WoW the past month or so. Like I said, I can't have nothing to do videos on. No new content whatsoever. Nothing interesting going on. It's really lame right now, and I find myself, I'm playing I don't play anything else religiously, so I find myself, I'll play like Path of Exile, I'll play Fallout. I've even booted up Hearthstone again, and destroying with a Shaman Murloc deck, by the way, and Fallout 76. I hate League of Legends, so I haven't really played that much, but I've just been kind of jumping around because World of Warcraft's just not that interesting. On the plus side, I've been I spend a lot of time with my family as it is because that's the most important thing. But I spend even more time with them, and so that part's good. But there's just absolutely nothing to do. So that's the best thing about 8.2 is there's going to be a lot to do. We have new zones to do. We have flying to unlock. Flying is another whole thing. You get your Pathfinder Part 2. You get flying to unlock. You got new zones. You got new dungeons. You got new raids. You got essences to farm. You got trinkets to do. You got to remax your DPS. You're going to have to deal with any changes that came out for your class. I know my class really doesn't have any changes right now, which is beyond frustrating. Ret Paladin sucks. I really, I got pretty devoted into gearing up my Demon Hunter at one point, but then they've kind of lost power too since then. They're still good, of course, and Ret Paladins can be good too, but they're just not interesting to play right now. Like, they don't have these huge powerful things that you can get into, like Elisham. We had a mage in our guild just go, screw it, I'm gonna play Elisham, and he went from a middling mage DPS to at least when he's alive, one of the top DPS. And it's just one of those things where when it's that easy to do, it's not really that fun. So Ret's not very fun right now, unfortunately, but there are some changes coming because and I know they've nerfed a lot of them back, so we'll see if they stick with any of them. But PvP talents becoming basically PvE talents or abilities, whatever that you can have. So one thing, I think the last time I checked for Ret, it was Unbound Freedom, which is when you cast Blessing of Freedom, it increases movement speed by 30%, and that'll work on you or an ally. I believe for this, when you cast it on an ally, you also get the movement speed. I don't know if you get the freedom too or just the movement speed. And something special if you cast it on yourself, you get some extra bonus or something like that. It's useful, I guess, but it's like, really? We are not mobile. Don't get me wrong, but casting Blessing of Freedom on ourselves to run away from something is not super ideal as well. At least the horse is quick. You know what I mean? It's not ideal, but at least it gets us someplace quick. Instead, we have to cast Blessing of Freedom on ourselves while we run away. It's kind of silly. But hey, I'm sure it'll save me at some point, right? So I guess I can't bitch about that too much. Oh, what else? We have the mount equipment coming out. So I actually am not shitting on this as much as everyone else. No surprise there. I'm pretty much a little bit more optimistic, especially when it comes to World of Warcraft, than most people. So they have the mount equipment coming out. I don't think that's that big of a deal. Granted, I'm a blacksmith, and I think I can make the stuff that I really want to make for the mount equipment, so maybe that's why. But the other people are going to have to get this stuff. You put the stuff on the mount, and then that mount has that ability when you summon it, I believe is how it works. And each mount, I think, can only have one thing. I'm not positive on that. So you would put water walking on the mount that you wanted, or all the mounts that you wanted to have it on. You would put slow fall on a certain mount, all these different kind of things. And I think that's cool. I think it's a little bit of engineering mixed in, and it makes sense. Honestly, I hate the Water Strider. The only thing I like about the Water Strider is that it's a low to the ground mount, so you don't hit your head on doors a lot when you go through things. I hate that about mounts. I will not use mounts that I hit my head on things when I try to go through a door. That's so annoying. But there's a lot of mounts that you don't hit your head on when you go through a door, so it'd be nice if all of them could water walk, and now they will be able to with this mount equipment. So people were hating on it. Well, I worked hard to get this Azure. It's not hard to get the Azure Strider. If you got it during Pandaria, then maybe you should get a special achievement, if you got it when it was relevant. But now it is so easy to get, especially when time walking's out. You can get in a day or 2 days, whatever. You just go farm it real quick. It's super easy. It didn't take me long to get. It doesn't take anybody long to get. You just go get it. And you just get the reputation tokens and you're done. So, not hard to get at all, guys. So, I don't take that as an argument at all. I guess another thing I'll dive into is, along those lines, it's all this constant shit posting on WoW. I'll mention it just real quick. I'm not going to talk about it a lot. In the previous podcast I didn't post, I talked about it for a few minutes. But I took umbrage with something that Asmongold said on Twitter. And at first I was respectful, and then he was rude to me, so I was rude to him, and then all of his, fans or whatever started freaking out on me. Which is expected. It's Twitter. I should know better at the end of the day. That's my takeaway, is that I should know better. So, but there's people like that are just constant shit posting. I actually just was on Twitter a little bit ago and saw Bellular Gaming. He does good World of Warcraft videos. He's a pretty big YouTuber for Warcraft, and he just posted something. Fun detected, must delete. It was people were turning off experience at 110 for like their, so like when you're 110 you have like, and you did Mythic Argus and stuff, you just destroy stuff when you first get to BFA. So and all your legendaries work and stuff, right? So people turn off their experience, and then they just like run you through like island expeditions, right? Because you can queue for them, and the level changes based on what you are, or they run you through Freehold or whatever, and they can just destroy everything. And so they were running people through stuff, especially the island expeditions is what they were changing for, and because they were basically leveling people up. Is it a fun detected thing? Somewhat, yes, but at the same time, they're always going to protect. This is the thing with World of War, and let me finish up the whole Twitter thing first, so no one knows I'm not talking shit. But the Bellular Gaming, he did say later on, he did a little thread. He said, "All right, I'm done farming for likes," or something like that. So he basically, I don't know if he really meant it or not, but he basically was saying, "Yeah, I shit posted about WoW because that's what people on Twitter like to see, and they'll like and comment on it and stuff like that." So, I didn't take anything against that, because I'm pretty sure, I think he was being honest about that, honestly. So, but yeah, here's the thing about that. Do I think people should be able to make gold any way they can in World of Warcraft, including using their alts that are at the former max level to make gold for their main character that may be max level? Yes, I do think that. I think that's a unique thing that someone found to do, and that, it's fine that they do that. But here's the from Blizzard's point of view. They put all this effort into making this expansion. I actually thought the leveling process itself wasn't that bad, right? So they want people to actually experience the leveling process. Now here's the other point, is that not a ton of new players are coming into the game at this point in an expansion. There are, of course, new players though, and the new players are less likely to use one of these services. But not impossible, or a friend could pay for the service for them, or the friend could do it for them for free, right? And so my question to them would be, are you seeing new players or returning players using the service, or are you seeing people use it on their alts? Because if it's people using it on their alts, then who cares? They already did the experience, they already leveled up once. Like if you have a max 120 already, and you already leveled up, then I think you should be able to get run through something. But other than that, I understand that they want you to actually experience. That's why we don't have flying when the expansion starts. That's their whole argument for it. You might not agree with that argument, and I completely understand if you don't agree with it. So you might not agree with the argument, but that is an argument, and it is a valid argument on their end from a creative standpoint. They put all this time into making the zones work well with the leveling and the pathing and everything like that. The scenery, the art, just the art team, they worked hard on everything. And they want you to experience it. They want you to see the work. They want you to appreciate it. Now, do you have to appreciate it? No, you could level through BGs. You can level through only dungeons. You don't have to appreciate it. But they're trying not to let anybody take away from it from like a nefarious way, like a way not intended. So while it's really cool that someone found out that you could do this kind of stuff, I totally understand why Blizzard doesn't want them to do it. And at the end of the day, it's their game. So I think we could probably find a happy medium. And if Blizzard would be a little bit more transparent with things, if they could say, look, we're noticing about half the people that are getting these runs, it's just like their friend running them through it. They're returning players or new subscribers. They're just running them through it so they don't have to do the leveling process. And we would like them to do the leveling process. Now your counterpoint could be, well, if they don't want to level, why make them level? And maybe that'll make them quit the game. While his counterpoint could be, well, we want people who enjoy the process to play our game. And you're like, well, why are you trying to lose subscribers? I don't know, but that could be their argument. I have no idea. I'm not here to argue for Blizzard. I don't get paid by them, or else then I would argue for them, frankly. But maybe seeing some sort of data like that on who is using these run services would be useful. And if it was like, even 80% alts, like, I don't know where the number is, 70-80%. If it's mostly alts to a large number, like, I wouldn't say, like, if it's 60-40, I'd say that's, whatever, that's close enough to not change it or to make this change. But if it's like 70 or 80% of people on alts doing it, maybe you should just let them do it at that point. So having that data would be extremely useful. Obviously, I don't have that data. I don't know how to obtain that data. I'm assuming only Blizzard would have that data. So unless they're going to release that data, we're just never going to know. Excuse me. So, on that note, what else about World of Warcraft right now? Nothing to do. Okay, so this hard cap for Azerite power at 50, this does not feel good. So since the last time I did a pod, at least, I've been at 50 now for a few weeks or maybe over a month. It's honestly, like I said, I haven't played that much, so kind of a little bit blurry. But when you get to 50, your Azerite power is capped, right? So when you still do I still do my emissaries though. The reason being is for the Paragon reputations, you get 4,000 to 5,000 gold. So I figure 4 world quests, it takes me like, I don't know, with all the flying and stuff, like 10 minutes. And I get 1,500 reputation, plus the reputation from doing the stuff. Let's just say roughly 2,000. So you do 5 Paragons, 50 minutes, 5,000, let's say 5,000 gold with rewards. It's not great numbers, but it's like, so what's that, 5 minutes for 500 gold, so 100 gold a minute. I don't know if that's that good or not, but it seems like a good time for me, especially I'm trying to get the achievement for 10,000 world quests completed as well. I'm at like 8,000 or something. So but here's the thing, it doesn't feel good. You get this, so whether or not you get the Azerite from doing the world quest or not, that sucks because you don't get anything from it. But you also don't get anything from, so you're turning in the emissary, and let's say it's double Azerite, you get absolutely nothing from that but the reputation. That doesn't feel good. I feel like there's something they could have did for that, like change it over to gold once you hit 50, or what they did in Legion was, I believe you got the token. See, they took the tokens out of the bag because they didn't want people filling up their bags again, or felt like they need to fill up their bags and then use them like the next week or whatever. So they made it instant, right? But with that, now we don't have these tokens that we could sell that are no longer useful. So how many thousands of gold have I missed out on in that way? That stinks, and that is not good. So if you want to talk about a change that they should make, that's a big change they should have made, and it's a little late now, but that has really made people lose interest. I know people who really were like top Azerite farmers on my server, and like once they said the cap was 50, they didn't even care. Like I think I ended up hitting 50 before one of these Azerite people that were like, one of the top on the server at one point. I don't know, at least top Alliance. I'm not sure if they're top on the server or not, but we're mostly Alliance on the server, so I imagine so. And they're just like, I don't care anymore because of that. And then once you get the captain, it's even more useless. And then you have the mission boards. That's a whole nother thing. People made tons of gold from the mission boards previously, and I understand why they changed it. I totally disagree with it because even with the lucrativeness a bit about it, there's still not very many of us that really took advantage of it. And I lump myself in there. I didn't take as much advantage of it as everyone else, but I definitely made, between all my alts, in the millions of gold from mission boards. And there's people that made way more. And I understand that people I understand them wanting to change that, but they nerfed it so hard, and there still wasn't that. Like, I was the only person in my guild who did it. Okay, we were a mythic guild, so everyone in there plays at least a reasonable amount of. And I was the only one who even cared about getting all submission boards and all the equipment and stuff like that, and they made that useless. And so now, on top of that, we have all these Azerite missions that are completely useless to do as well. Again, those should be changed to gold. They should, in some way, having something to, and then like the islands, right? So I want to farm. I got the mount from the 7th Legion medals, or for Horde they'd be the honor bound medals. The mount from that. For the Alliance, it's like a moon saber or some sort of saber cat thing, and I got that, but I haven't gotten the 1,000 tokens, I believe it is, for the islands yet to get the flying bird, whatever it is. And so I've been wanting to get that, but I have absolutely no motivation to do islands when my reward is Azerite power for doing it, and then I complete 4 heroics and I get more Azerite power. Yippee! And then when I get the quest thing for completing it, there's a chance that is also Azerite power, and that doesn't help me at all, and it's not useful, and I don't like it. And that is a big change that they should make right there. Going forward, especially if it's going to cap again at a certain level, then you're going to need to do something that we're not wasting our time, energy, and people aren't wasting their time and energy. They're just not playing. So let's keep people playing by having things be useful to them. So there's a good change. So people aren't talking about that one big. People have talked about it, but people aren't complaining about that one as much as they are about the fun police and other stuff. But there's a change that they could actually make pretty much immediately, and would be extremely helpful and make things more useful to do. So I think that's about all I want to talk about World of Warcraft wise. So if you're only interested in World of Warcraft, this is where you would stop. But I'm going to transition into talking about Father's Day a little bit, talking about, masculinity, male stuff, that kind of stuff. So, like I said at the beginning, happy Father's Day to everybody. I became a dad a little over 2 years ago. Really cool day. It changes your life immediately. And what I say to anybody, whether you are a male or a female, is that having a kid is a great thing to do if you like kids, and if you want a kid, then you should just go do it, assuming you have the proper partner, and everything like that set up. Now, if you're only if let's say you have a very serious relationship, and the reason you guys aren't having a kid is because of money, I would say screw it, man. Just do it anyways. I think I waited too long. Because of that, I wanted to wait till we had a house and stuff like that, and maybe that was the better decision. Maybe it was. But I would say just go ahead and do it, because you'll figure it out, man. It's like I always say, if I have to, especially for my son, right? I'll go work at fast food, I'll go work at a factory, and I'll work 3 jobs, I'll be a janitor, whatever, right? You do whatever you have to do, and that can be miserable, of course, and nobody wants to do that, but I promise you that, like, if you actually want to have the kid, so it's not like a mistake or anything like that, that having the kid is, like, it trumps all of that kind of stuff. Like, you're so happy to see them. Obviously, if you're working that many jobs like I just proposed, you're not going to see them very often, so will it be worth it then? I don't know. Maybe just seeing, your husband or wife be super happy, or just seeing your kid be happy when you do see them. I don't know. Maybe that would make it worth it. But overall, what I would say is that it's extremely worth it. And I see that a lot with people. I know I have family members and stuff too. People I know, they're like, well, I'm just not ready for a kid quite yet. I'm at where I want to be in my life. People are having kids in their late 30s now, and that's fine in society now because people are living longer. And it's like, yeah, that's true. And you can do that. Listen, I can't complain that we have a actual house to raise our kid in, that he can have a playroom and a basement and his own room, and and we have another room if we have another kid, and I can't complain about that. That we have a big yard. I can't complain about any of that. That's really cool stuff for a kid, right? But at the same time, if if we would have had a kid sooner, then maybe, maybe we would have got a house a little bit later, slightly later. But maybe, things tend to work out the way they're supposed to work out as long as you work hard and you just keep putting your best foot forward, right? So the crux of this first part is just if you like kids, if you want to have a kid, then you should have a kid because it'll make your life extremely better. So find a partner that you either love or a partner that you guys are on the same page and stuff with. I'm fine with the modern stuff now. Like a man and a woman can just have a kid together because they both want to have a kid, and they're both going to raise the kid, but they're not necessarily going to be together. I think that's fine as long as that's like an understood thing, and like you explain it to the kid and everything like that. Like, they can tell their friends that their parents are divorced, whatever, that makes them feel better as a kid. But I'm fine with any of that. The point is that I do believe you should have two parents, if possible. As being someone that was raised mostly by, except for when I was really young, raised mostly by just my mother, I believe two parents is definitely better. I think all the statistics show that as well. So you definitely want to have either someone you're in love with or someone that you can co-parent with. And definitely go for it, man. In the game community, it's hit or miss, man. I have a lot of people. I typically try to follow people on Twitter who are also like, if I see that you're a gamer and you're a father and you're married, then I'll probably follow you. Like, and you play WoW or whatever, I'll probably follow you because I'm like, hey, they're probably a lot like me, right? So, and I see, and there's a lot of them, right? But there's also the other side of the community where like I'm antisocial, but like super antisocial, maybe, just no luck with women or whatever. And those type of people, and if you don't want a kid, then don't have a kid. But if you like kids and want to have a kid, I just definitely say to go ahead and do it. So enough about talking about telling everyone to have kids. Let's talk about a little bit about masculinity before the end of this. And what we're going to talk about is I'll bring up a specific situation here. So I mentioned that I was mostly raised by my mom. I'll mention really quick that without getting too personal into it, but I didn't have like a great dad, I guess you'd say. He was I try to figure out the way to phrase it because it's not like he's the worst person in the world, but he was just whatever. But he was like heavily into drugs and alcohol. Alcohol is a little bit more common. And he was also kind of abusive and just not a great overall person. He had a lot of demons, a lot of issues. And shit, where was I going with that? I talk about something personal and it takes your mind off what the hell you're talking about. Oh, masculinity. Basically, because of that, I carry, I'm very opposite. So I would never hit my wife, for example. I told my wife, I'm like, the only way I would ever hit you is if like you were killing our son, like to save his life, whatever. Like I would never do anything like that. I'm totally against it. I'm very more pro woman in a lot of ways. Like I'm not like a feminist or anything like that, but I'm very like women should have paid maternity leave and things like that. I'm definitely in women's corner for a lot because of that. I also have two sisters. I have my wife that I love very much. So I have a lot of women in my life, and that I really love and respect. And so I say all that to bring up this specific situation where it was something about women can raise their voices to men, but men can't raise their voices to women. So I was talking. It was a friend. It was on Facebook, so it wasn't Twitter. It was actually like someone I know, and I commented on it and saying, I was trying to, from a evolutionary standpoint, talk about why a man might raise his voice, because they were saying, well, men are raising their voice to be obeyed, and sometimes that's true, but that's not always a bad thing. It depends how they're doing it, right? So from an evolutionary standpoint, I kind of laid out, in my opinion and in my own words, why I think that that it's okay. It's fine. It just like it's fine for a woman to sometimes raise their voice at a man. It's also fine for a man to raise their voice at a woman, and to get off this whole toxic masculinity thing that especially the certain people are always posting about. And so, and of course, I should put in. I made sure to put in that if it's if this is correlated, if the raising of the voice, so the man screaming at the woman, if that's correlated with physical or mental abuse, like he's telling the woman she's a piece of shit and she's worthless, or he's hitting her, then that's not the same thing. That's not. That has nothing to do with just raising your voice. That's raising your voice with abuse. That's so, in my opinion, that's just abuse, right? That's not just raising your voice. So, like, if a man was, let's say you were in a protector role. Let's say you're going camping, right? It's the first time your family ever went camping. You're in a place where there's bears or something like that, and you hear something coming, or you see, or maybe you were by the stream, you saw something coming towards the camp, you ran back to camp, you're like, go, go, go. And they're like, shut up, whatever. Just kind of bantering back and forth. And you raise your voice and you say, go effing right now. And you scream at them. And here's the thing, they might listen to you, right? They might just go because they're like, holy shit, you're really freaking screaming at me. And you're doing it in a protecting way in that case. And I think a lot of ways, now that's an extreme case, right? So there's a wild animal. But I think in a lot of ways, when a man raises his voice, it's naturally from protection. And that's kind of just what I was trying to get at. So what ended up happening was a bunch of feminist type people commented back that all these terrible things, by the way, just saying absolutely terrible things about me. And, this was not the most terrible one, but the one that hurt the most was saying that obviously I hate all women. My wife was not happy about that because she knows how much I love her and how well I treat her. And, what if my mom saw that? What if, I have sisters that I love? And it's just like, it's such shit that people say that kind of stuff to begin with. But, for someone who is normally so pro-woman to have that said just because I'm also not anti-man, it's pretty debilitating. But here's the thing. And if you're a guy watching, if you're a girl watching, what I'd say is, don't do that. Like, if the guy's a good guy, you don't just go say you hate all women. Why would you say that? Like, what if he's married? What if he has daughters? I don't have a daughter. What if he has daughters and you tell him you hate all women? Now, I typed some things out. I just deleted them. I'm like, I'm not going to get into this because I can tell they were all ganging up. The mob mentality. And if I say anything back, they're just going to, see, I told you hated all women. Look how he's talking to me. Because they don't care how they're talking to me. That's okay. So I just didn't say anything back. I was gonna. What I almost said was, I was taught, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Obviously, you guys weren't taught that, and I thought about maybe adding like something. Obviously, you didn't have a strong man in your life to teach you that. Just to kind of make a joke, but again, didn't think it would go over well, so I didn't go there. But if you're a guy watching this, man, don't back down from that, man. You need to be masculine. It's important in this world. There's less and less masculine men in this world. It's not good because at any point things could go wrong, right? It could be, like a virus, like a bird flu, like some sort of airborne virus. It could be a meteorite hitting. It could be nuclear war or just a really bad war. And if anything happens, and eventually something like that will happen, right, in human history, and you don't have any masculine people around, you're going to be in trouble. Now, granted, there are females that can also lead as well. But again, we don't have enough of those either. So if you have no males that can do it, and just handfuls of females that can do it, you're going to be in trouble when stuff goes down because you just don't have enough people to do it. And men are more natural to do it, and it wouldn't make sense, and it'd be just kind of stupid to try to force that role upon all women all of a sudden that they're the masculine ones, right? So it's important to be masculine. Don't let people tell you otherwise. And if you're not, so most guys I know aren't. So I have honestly, I would say that none of my friends are masculine. Maybe one that I'm thinking of. Family member wise, again, not a lot. And here's the thing, uh, you can become more masculine. For me, all it took really was it's a mindset changer, right? So for me, what it took was uh, just stepping out of the comfort zone, and it's going to be different for other people. But my point is that this, like, you can, maybe you're not masculine now. Maybe you just play video games. You have a girlfriend. You do whatever she says. Uh, you take pictures of her for Instagram. No, none of that's wrong. By the way, you should do whatever. Like if you're happy in your relationship, be happy in your relationship. But here's the thing. Um, it, it's hard to really put into words, honestly, because if I do it without thinking, it's gonna sound like it is toxic, because there is toxic masculinity, but there's also just being a protector, being someone who cares. Like my wife and my kid, who's only 2 years old, he even knows, like, if something goes down, my dad will protect me, or he'll die trying. Like, anything happens, dad's gonna save me, and my wife would think my husband's gonna save me, and damn right, I'm at least gonna try to. And there's people that don't have that, though, where they would both just run away together, right? And I think that's the best way I can put it, to where it's never not going to be considered as toxic, is that you have to have that in you. And I didn't have that in me as a teenager, especially, right? Where I think a lot of gamers are now. Like, you carry on that teenage mentality into your adulthood. And what changed it for me personally was I was working a very hard job for most of my adulthood. I worked a very labor intensive job, and I didn't know how to do anything like that. I was a city kid. Basically, I didn't know how to do. I didn't have my father around, so I didn't have, like, anyone to teach me how to do, like, electrical, or you know, roofing, carpentry, plumbing, etc. These are all things that I learned doing this other job. And when I started, the biggest change I would say is, when I started, I would always say, I can't do that. I just can't. I'm trying. I can't. And I do have good work ethic, so I was trying. I'm like, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And not by the end of it, but a few years in, probably about 2 years working, doing this job, I started, instead of saying I can't do it, I started saying, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. And that right there is the phrase that will really show masculineness, right? Or being a man. I don't know, but I will figure it out. You don't know how, but you're going to figure it out. And you're going to figure it out for yourself. You're going to figure it out for your family. You're going to figure it out for whoever. And that's a lot of what being a real man is about, in a lot of ways. It's just one simple phrase. There's a million other applications of it. It doesn't have to do anything with work if you don't want it to be. But I don't know, but I will figure it out. And that changed who I was completely. I used to be someone who would call for help, not call for help, like, help me, but like, oh, something happened. I better call my mom, or I better call my brother, or I better call somebody that can tell me what to do. And now I'm like, all right, I'll figure it out, and I'll get it done. And now, when you first do it, maybe you're not gonna be good at it, right? But over time, and of course now we have a thing called YouTube, and you can look videos up on how to do stuff, but you'll figure stuff out. And it makes me really sad, because I was like that, and I know so many people who I had I had a buddy in college. There was cold air coming through his window, and so his where he was living, his dorm, or I don't know if it was a dorm or apartment, it was super cold in there. It was like freezing, and I'm like, have you done this, or this? Have you done anything? He's like, well, I don't have that. I was like, well, have you tried just taping towels around it? Have you done anything? They're like, no, we're just, and I'm like, you gotta do something. You don't just sit there and let cold air come in and freeze everything in the room. You said there was, like, ice on the walls and stuff, because it gets really cold sometimes in Ohio. And I'm just thinking, man, you can't do that. You gotta do something. And he's gotten better too. He actually ended up buying a house, and he's done a lot of the stuff himself for fixing it up as much as he could. And I think that's helped him out a lot. Again, just that idea of, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. And that's a good takeaway, and that's a good place to end it, I think, is I don't know, but I'll figure it out. And, you know, I don't know, you know, about this whole, I don't know about this World of Warcraft expansion as far as making videos goes, because it hasn't been the greatest, but I'll figure it out, right? So, I also just do this as a hobby, so there's that. But thanks for watching this one. This one was a lot of fun. I haven't done one in so long. I had plenty to talk about, so that was good. And yeah, please subscribe to the channel. I've said this at the end of all the other ones, so I might as well say it again. If you actually watch this whole thing, you're freaking awesome, and you should definitely subscribe to the channel. And other than that, everybody have a good one.